A lot of people have an opinion on Trump. He's a very divisive figure. A lot of people seem to like him. And when you ask people why they like him, they always say the same thing. Oh, Trump, he says the things no other politician will say. And that is true, because not a lot of other politicians will openly admit they want to ride their own daughter. So that is true. And the weird thing about Trump is he has this very unique cult of personality where his own supporters will deny their own fucking eyes and ears to believe anything he says. When they came out to look for coronavirus treatments, he suggested injecting yourself with bleach. And then when questioned about it, said, oh, I was only being sarcastic. Here's an idea. Fucking don't be. It's not your job to be sarcastic. It's your job to fucking tell people what to do. But the thing about Trump that's so strange is you have to give him credit where credit is due. Or is due. Due? God, I am very right-wing. You have to give credit where credit is due. He is an absolute master at controlling the narrative. He is an absolute master at controlling debates. Other politicians are not able to stand up to him because he can completely change the subject matter at a fucking whim. So if you try and pin him down on his domestic reforms and high levels of unemployment, he will turn around and say that you shag dogs. All of a sudden, you're not talking about high unemployment levels. You're denying the fact that you shag dogs. And the way people work, no matter how well you deny it, how little evidence there is, one person will leave that debate going, he definitely shags dogs. A huge thing that's in discussion these days when any matter is brought up is whataboutery. You say, what about this, what about that? To stop you actually talking about the actual issue, you talk about something else. And the weird thing about that is it only ever works if you're discussing politics. It doesn't fucking work in real life. If you take your car to a mechanic and he hasn't fixed that car and you go, well, I paid you £200. Why is my car not fixed? And he turns around and goes, well, what about all the other cars I fixed? Do they not matter? No, they don't. Fix my fucking car. When the Black Lives Matter protest kicked off, everyone looked into the background of George Floyd and said, well, he has a history of being abusive to women. Why should we mourn this figure? And that is true. But at the same time, so did George Best, and we put him on money. And the difficult thing about whataboutery is it just ends up you're not talking about what you originally set off to talk about. And the thing about where we live in Northern Ireland or Ireland, if you want to be wrong, is that we make whataboutery an absolute art form to change it into green and orange politics. I remember watching these protests about Black Lives Matter and thinking, are we finally going to get a conversation about extreme racism and prejudice in Northern Ireland? And then a video came out of a young girl with a Union Jack out the front of City Hall, and she said, fuck your Union Jack. And I thought, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Not because I was offended, but because I knew once Jamie Bryson sees this, it's game over. Because all it did was change a genuine world issue into the same old Punch and Judy show that we normally have. It changes into, well, if you don't like it, get out of our country. Well, you shouldn't be your country in the first place. Oh, well, you shouldn't fucking be here. Oh, if you don't like it, don't spend the Queen's money. And that's my favourite one of all. Don't spend the Queen's money. Just because her face is on it doesn't mean she owns it. By that logic, Gary Lineker could take a bag of Walkers out of your hand at a fucking moment's notice. The Queen has no official powers over finance or the Bank of England. She has a very ceremonial role at best. The Queen's list of powers include the honours list, so she can knight someone. She can approve the government. She can reject legislation from Parliament. She's the head of armed forces, only in spirit. She's not in the middle of Afghanistan with a towel around her head sniping fuckers. And the fifth one is she is the Queen of Swans. And I feel to put that one in just because they're running out of shit to say. Mom, are you sure that's all the powers you have? Tell them that I am the Queen of the Swans. And that, it's silly. It is silly, but then the other side you have the Pope, who's the king of paedophiles. So it works out. Interestingly enough, I had a friend talking to me about the Epstein case, and he told me he didn't believe Epstein was actually a paedophile. I asked him why, and he said, because if Epstein died and he's the head paedophile, how come there's still paedophiles? I went, you're confusing paedophiles with vampires. I'll finish this one on a joke. What's the difference between a paedophile and a vampire? Prince Andrew isn't a vampire. A lot of people seem to stop learning when they leave school. They never learn anything new. They just stop straight after that. But I think you should continue to educate yourself when you leave school. I am a huge fan of history, and I'm telling you now, the history they teach you in school, shite. See the stuff you'll learn when you continue to research it? Fucking mental. If you look back throughout history, almost everyone is a drugged up fiend, and it's fantastic. One of the most evil regimes in history, the Nazis, were all notorious drug users. By 1944, Hitler was on a concoction of cocaine, morphine, and methamphetamine. Göring was a massive morphine user. And that, to me, just brings a whole new light to the Nazis, because they're not a group of men who are just evil. They're just a group of boys completely fucked out of their mind with the infrastructure to carry out their ideas. I've been out of my mind on cocaine before, but I haven't had the willpower to try it off. If Sash William had his way, I probably would have carried out a systematic genocide of people who listen to techno music. So a lot of businesses are going to feel the strain of this particularly difficult economic time. But one area that has done extremely well in the pandemic is porn. Because no matter how scared we are, we're not too scared to wank, are we? One of the businesses in the world that actually increased was a website called OnlyFans. If you're not familiar with OnlyFans, people pay a subscription to see your titties. It's fantastic, so I hear. But here's the thing. I have a friend whose girlfriend uses that site, and he wants to, and I had other friends questioning, could you do that? Could you have a girlfriend who had OnlyFans? And I personally feel I couldn't. Not out of any moral objection, I'm just not that good with a camera. I don't feel anyone wants to watch a sex tape where I've left the flash on the whole time. Halfway through, it flips to the front camera, so it goes from to me going